Mr. Speaker, this country is facing real problems. There's an erosion of trust in our government and institutions. The right to bodily autonomy is under attack across the nation. The state of Maryland needs assistance in rebuilding the Francis Scott Key Bridge so that the Port of Baltimore, whose economic impact touches communities across the country, can reopen. And our immigration system cannot function because Congress has failed to reform it for over 30 years. But instead of responding to these problems, House Republicans are wasting our time yet again on another meaningless immigration resolution. At Donald Trump's direction, they refuse to work toward solutions for our broken immigration system, so instead, all they have to offer is a bunch of empty rhetoric. This resolution, like the others we have considered in recent months, will do nothing to solve the situation at the border. Not a single dollar will go to help our law enforcement agents at the border as a result of this resolution. Not a single person will be denied unlawful entry to this country as a result of this resolution. Not a single community will be made safer as a result of this resolution. This resolution is nothing more than a highlight reel of the dubious talking points in immigration that we have heard over and over from Republicans since President Biden was sworn into office. It is the same legislating by press release that we have become accustomed to in this historically unproductive Congress. The resolution itself is simply a rehash of the resolution we passed a few weeks ago. Republicans are so out of ideas that it even has the same exact title and much of the same content as the last resolution. That resolution listed all the ways that President Biden supposedly could secure the border and essentially asked the administration to reverse every policy it has implemented on immigration, even though we know that doing so would not be effective. Today's resolution simply lists most of those policies again, and this time it just condemns the administration. What a waste of time. It's important to remember how we got here. Earlier this Congress, House Republicans passed their partisan, cruel, and unworkable border bill, H.R. 2. Republicans spent a year saying that H.R. 2 is the only way to secure the border, even though they know that it cannot become law, having failed twice to pass the Senate, receiving just 32 votes earlier this year. Then they insisted that the price of helping to protect Ukraine against Russian aggression was enacting harsh border enforcement legislation. Senate Republicans even managed to convince some Democrats to agree on a very harsh border bill in the Senate, a bill that Minority Leader McConnell called the toughest border bill in 30 years. But Republicans could not take yes for an answer. Donald Trump said that he didn't want to do anything that might actually help at the border in an election year because he wants immigration as a campaign issue. Other Republicans quickly agreed. So, folding to the cult of Donald Trump, Speaker Johnson declared the bill dead on arrival in the House, with the rest of the Republican conference quickly falling in line. Republicans showed clearly what Democrats have been saying over and over again, that they don't want to do anything that would really help address our broken immigration system. They clearly have given up. Instead of solving the problem, Republicans merely want to continue to weaponize the border as a political issue for the election year with pointless votes on meaningless resolutions that accomplish nothing and are full of misleading information. So let's review the facts once again. The resolution complains that the Biden administration is not removing enough people. However, the administration is removing people at a very significant pace, and in ways that I am concerned may present some due process violations. Since the end of Title 42 last May, the Biden administration has removed or returned over 630,000 individuals and members of family units just since last May. This is more than the number of people removed or returned in all of fiscal year 2019 under the Trump administration. The resolution also alleges that the Biden administration is violating the mandatory detention statutes by not detaining enough people. However, no administration, including the Trump administration, has ever been able to comply with those statutes because no Congress has ever appropriated the extraordinary levels of funding such compliance would require. To detain everyone that the law requires to be held in mandatory detention would require Congress to appropriate over $35 billion a year, a number 10 times higher than what Congress appropriated this year, or then President Trump ever requested for detention. And when Democrats have proposed giving DHS the resources it needs to do its job, the Republicans have consistently said no. We need to work together to address our broken immigration system. Enforcement alone cannot fix it. We know this because an enforcement-only approach has largely failed for 3 decades. We need to update our immigration system so that it meets the needs of our country. We need a balanced bipartisan approach that expands lawful pathways. This will help relieve pressure on the border and allow people to come to this country in an orderly and efficient way. But Republicans don't want to engage in real legislating that might actually solve problems and deliver meaningful reform. They want to continue to demagogue and fearmonger with meaningless resolutions containing nothing but empty rhetoric designed to score cheap political points. I urge my colleagues to oppose this resolution, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from New York.